Hello, welcome to Game Club on Idealoclast. My name is Bon. You can call me that, Bon Balafti, and I'm joined with Aussie.
Hey, what's up?
Those of you who have actually gone to the website many times before or seen some of the other things, he was in one of the Let's Walks and also participates in art jams, which I need to twist my arm to do more of. But there you go. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
All right. So anyway, Game Club. This is something that is a really good idea that I thought we should do because it's one of those many evenings where we're just kind of sitting around and talking about old games that we used to enjoy. And I just got into this habit that oh man, I want to play all these old games again, but I wanted to do something in a way that introduce it to, I guess, younger generation or people that have never heard of these games before. And the first game to kind of do that, to set that off, was Soul Blazer. For those of you that do not know, it came out in 1992 on the Super Nintendo, and it is one of those old Enix treasures. A lot of people nowadays will probably only know of Enix as the second part of Square and the company that is falling from grace.
No kidding.
But what a lot of people might not realize, and they might come to realize the more of these episodes that we do, because there is a lot of them, is that Enix had a lot of really great games back in the day, and Soul Blazer was definitely one of them, and one of the ones that I wanted to start out with.
And it's a really good one to start out with.
Mm-hmm. Well, from your experience with Soul Blazer, you didn't really have much access to a Super Nintendo growing up, though, didn't you?
Well, my cousins had one.
Okay.
And they eventually let me have it. And I basically had a Super Nintendo with, I think it was just Mario Kart, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And every other game I played was rented from Blockbuster, so Soul Blazer was one of them that I rented many times. I don't even know how many times I rented it.
This was your go-to game?
I mean, there was a bunch of them at that time, but this was one that stood out. That it was something that no one else I knew played except for one of my friends who introduced me to it. That's why I kept renting it once I found out about it. Because at the time, I don't think I even played any Final Fantasy games or any Enix games at all. Mm-hmm. So I think this was my first one. So really good first game, I think.
What is it about this game that actually got your attention first off?
I think it was just my friend showed it to me, and it kind of had the Zelda, the Link to the Past feeling. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just the gameplay wise, it hooked me. And I don't know. I just wanted to play it more. So
the gameplay is surprisingly good. For what it is. I mean, you do have your hack and your slash and your run around adventure RPG type stuff, but you do have the ultimate superior move in that game, which is really just hold one of the shoulder buttons to stick your sword out and walk into things.
Yeah.
So many boss fights were quickly just done because of that.
Yeah, it's weird because that move does less damage per hit, but it does more damage because as long as they're close to you, they're just constantly taking damage.
Yeah. There's no moment of, oh, this person is invulnerable to your attack because they were hit once. They just keep taking the hits. Mm-hmm. And it's surprisingly such an OP move.
It is, especially the one the bosses that really just drop with that move is like the first boss,
Hmm.
that like metal mantis guy.
Yeah.
Like it's if you do that, like you can't lose. It's like impossible to lose that boss fight.
Hmm.
And the other one is the like that bird on the airship. I feel like that's where it also works really well
It
because
would. Oh man.
if you do it right, you can never get hit when you hold out your weapon. So
Yeah. It would like thank God for a move like that though, because that bird on that ship is really that is one of the very few frustrating bosses in that game.
yep.
Like I would take that bird and the very last boss in that game are the absolute worst things to fight against. But other than that, everything else is just kind of like a quick.
Yeah, it's it's kind of funny for me because like you said you were having a pretty easy time with pretty much all the
Hmm.
bosses. And like I have trouble on the like the pirate ship skeleton guy.
Yeah.
Um a little bit on the bird, but that's like you can power through that really easily. The last boss obviously because they're jerks and they didn't put a health bar on him, so you don't know like when I died the first time when I just finished it like I thought like wait did I miss an item to like show his health bar? I can't remember. And then it's like nope, you just got to keep spamming that phoenix on him until he dies.
Well, that one is just like the worst too because he keeps spamming his own attacks at you constantly.
Yeah.
It's the thing that he shoots out from his mouth. It's the hands that are coming around the corner, and it's like these little laser beams that are moving at 90-degree angles at you or something like that. I can't remember that part too
Yeah,
well.
it's he doesn't have the hands, he has the lasers. The hands
Oh,
are the skeleton
yeah, the skeleton
dude.
hands that just like slowly creep out on you, and then by the time that those things show up, and you're bombarded with three different attacks at the same time,
Yeah,
unless you don't kill them or whatever.
yeah, that but like I kind of think that boss fight is really cool. Like I like the mechanics of it. Um but for some reason that third boss on the pirate ship just I don't know why. Like it's not hard, but it's hard to me.
Yeah.
And I kind of think I know why. It's like one of those things where when you're younger and you come across like you're playing a game, you come across a challenge and you can't beat it and like you just kind of keep trying till you beat it, but you're not sure how you beat it.
Hmm.
So like that's what happened to me when I first played this game when I got to that point.
Yeah.
And and this happens in like Zelda games too to me where I've done this before, I know how to beat it, but I have like I fall into the same like trap of getting like in trouble with the boss fight even though I know how to avoid it. It's just like my muscle memory from like younger is my younger self is like still that's how I just play the game, so I end up just like losing to that boss like two times in a row
Yeah.
before I beat it.
But that pirate ship boss fight is also pretty interesting because it's part level, part boss fight, as
Yeah,
opposed to every other one.
yeah.
It's like you're in the room and there it is, but like no, this one you have to wander through
The
a pirate ship.
fires,
Yeah, and like
torches.
the little worms that pop up out of the ground.
Oh yeah,
And oh, there's a treasure chest on board because there's like a little cutscene with this little boy who's all like, "Gee, I put this coin in a box, and I hope somebody gets it."
yeah.
And God, man, so ridiculous. But speaking of things that get stuck on, I've always had this problem every time I've started playing this game. Because I get really into it. The beginning is just so good and fun, and like collecting all the people to like come back to life
Yep.
is always like the really cool part of it.
They poof in.
Like they do a really good job of introducing the game to you at that first village because
Yep.
just bringing this village to life is such a cool gameplay mechanic for the time. And but when it gets to this point where like where you have to beat the boss and progress to the next stage, that's where I always get stuck because
Hmm.
the thing that you need to collect is basically under the control of these two boys that have like a secret fort.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
the secret key and stuff like that, and And you talk to one of the flowers on the other side of the map that says like, "Oh, there's something underneath there. I've seen it happen." So then you go over to the thing where it's supposed to be hidden, and it's just like
It's just a sleeping flower.
yeah, it's just a sleeping flower. Like I keep going into the flower's dream.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It's like,
yep.
am I missing something? Am I missing something? But no, like you have to push it.
Yeah, and like that's exactly like what happens to me like with that and the boss and stuff. Like that's what I'm talking about is like I figured that out before, but I get back to it and I still think that I can't push anything, even though I know I can.
Because there's no, I think it's because there's like no animation for pushing.
Yeah, there's no like sound effect like like in a Zelda game when you run up against something, it makes that like thudding sound, whatever.
So it's like your whole major hint for that entire thing is when you go to the guy that says, "Press one of the shoulder buttons to crab walk. Try it." And then you do, and then he says, "See, it's fun, isn't it? So much fun."
Pretty much like
man.
that. There's a lot of that like little stuff in the game. And there was another one that's if I can remember, like well, it's pretty much like all the emblem stuff too, which I think I 100% of the game. Like I got everything pretty much.
Yeah.
That stuff the first time around was like impossible for me to grasp.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. We got all these emblems now. Nothing costs gems anymore to cast spells.
Because the font is so big and there's only so much memory on a Super Nintendo card, apparently. They waste all of their lines of dialogue on the most simplest sentences. Oh my god, like going back to the first town though, like my absolute favorite part, this is the thing that actually hooked me into the game, is when you unlock the bridge for the village.
Yeah.
And then there's the guy standing guard. And you go up to him and he says, "I'm the guard of this bridge. It's pretty small, isn't it? Guess there's no point in you guarding." So he just moves to the side.
The game is filled with dialogue like that from almost every character. Like just the weirdest, like and some of the stuff's like super dark for some reason. It's just like yeah, I got that. Like it was in the castle section. It's just like yeah, the some guy was opposing the king, so we threw him in the like torture dungeon, and he left this string, and he loved to play music, and just like you get this string, and then you give it to the guy to play the music, and you realize like, wait, is this the guy?
Yeah.
It's like it's so bizarre, and he talks about the whole like thing with like Lisa, and like
that's supposed to be like the really big dramatic moment in that game too, when he starts playing the music. Like they made a special like song specifically for that part.
Yep.
That I'm sure you could like get a soundtrack of the game, and they have it like somebody's actually singing it, and there's like real music in the background. So it's supposed to be like this really, you're supposed to feel the emotion of these characters with the simple dialogue.
Yeah, but and it's weird because all the dialogue is simple. Some of it might be poorly translated, all that kind of stuff. But like the ending, like everything up leading up to the ending of this game, just like I forgot how much the like dialogue hits hard for me, because like just like all the stuff about, you know, because I like these kinds of stories where like you're like pushing to the end and like saving this world and realizing all the good things in people, and you know, it's all like, you know, it's like heartfelt like moments, even though it's kind of funny the way they write it. And yeah, like all that stuff is.
Well, I just think it's kind of interesting, I guess, because everything on this planet is a living thing. Like,
right,
you're talking to everything in this game,
even doors.
Yeah, doors.
just doors. I don't know. Dr. Leo, man, he can make talking doors.
Make talking doors, and like and they're just like all these other hidden creatures or whatever on the world that are like, "I'm from the sky like you. Let me join you, and I'll give you an ability."
Yeah.
But I can't remember which one it was that like lets you see invisible things. This was
It
I think that was the door actually that lets you see
yes, yeah,
invisible.
the door to the like brat church thing,
Hmm.
mouse church, whatever that thing was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. The guy.
So basically, I guess we're so deep into it, we might as well just talk about what the game is. So basically, the story centers around this guy. Well, kind of centers around, it more centers around your character, but the story itself is about this guy named Dr. Leo, who creates this machine that can apparently bring evil out into the world.
Right. He's an inventor,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, he's an inventor, and the kingdom kind of like forces him to work on it because somebody in the kingdom got crazy with evil, I
Power,
guess. Yeah,
power and evil.
crazy with evil power. So then force them to create this machine. The machine unleashes this pure evil into the world that basically seals up the world into like these demon cages or demon doors or whatever. So like the planet is completely uninhabitable. And you're the hero, whose name is Blazer, but you can call him whatever you want, is just brought into the world by this like this omnipotent voice called the Master.
The master. I actually kind of have a theory about how he was brought down and why the master responded. I don't think it was just on a whim.
Oh yeah.
I think there was like one moment. I can't remember if it was like Lisa or some other character, but I think someone prayed to the master for them to bring someone down, and you're that answer. Like you're the answer, right? Because like they kind of show that
I
that you're an angel or whatever.
I can see that because I think that's probably what Dr. Leo's daughter has to do with that.
Yep.
Because like there's that whole subplot with her, Lisa, who in the starting town she's basically stuck in a nightmare that she can't get out of.
Exactly.
And then you touch her forehead and go into her dream and wake her up.
Yeah.
But yeah, she seems to be like the one driving force for the story to move things along, to the point where she even asks you the question that if you're if you are human or you're an angel. Which one did you answer? Because I don't know how it differs between the two.
I think I said I wasn't human because like I was sent by the master. That's kind of the story I was trying to like put together myself. So I said that I was not human.
I wanted to play her ignorance, and I just said I'm human like you.
Yeah.
But then at some point, it's kind of funny though, because at some point in the story, it came like totally off guard to me that she just like, I think I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Please come back when you're done, or whatever. But
well, I have a conspiracy theory about why she would say that, because I just realized that the singer in the castle, he kind of looks like you for some reason. Like he's got the same colored clothing and hair, but he's just
really?
like long. He just has like longer hair, but it's the same, and he's the only other character that looks like you in color scheme and like. So I thought that was really weird, and he also like apparently had a relationship.
So what you're saying is that the master basically brought somebody back from the dead to save the world.
Yeah, because okay, so this
and,
is
avenge
why.
himself.
Well, not himself, but okay, okay. So you're brought. Okay, there's a common theme in the game where they say like, oh, if you die, you might come back as another creature or being, right? And it's kind of proven through like that goat, the wife goat, and the like that they show that it can happen, right? Even in the forest creatures. So with that in mind, if you talk to that singer, he tells his story about like liking Lisa, like he's talking about her, and he wrote her a song, but he can't play the music because he needs the string. So you talk to the other guy who looks like the singer. There's another guy in that castle area who also looks like you. Both these characters look like you, who tells you where to get the string from the guy who was tortured for standing up to the king for Dr. Leo. So I can only assume that he did that because he loved Lisa, but he's really dead. So that's why he's the only one who can play the music. So when you go back eventually to wake her up at the very end, before the final cutscene, like you disappear after she has finally, like, after you have like brought yourself back to her, kind of thing, like helping her in her father restore the world how it should be.
Yeah.
It's like there's like a lot of evidence for that kind of story, which seems like what it was to me. But yeah, it's weird like how complex that seemed to me when it's just a really simple straightforward story.
This is a more deeper narrative than I actually would have assumed.
I know, right? It's like that's why I fucking love this game, man. This game's great. Yeah. It's so like it just does everything right, even if it's not super hard game. So.
It's surprisingly well made, and like we were just talking about there, even though it's kind of goofy on its surface, with a lot of the characters and the dialogue and just like the way people are. I mean, come on. Dr. Leo has all these strange pets.
Yeah.
Like Turbo the dog.
Oh, I love Turbo the dog.
Lou the dolphin.
Oh, yeah. Lou the dolphin gets married.
Yeah, like Gnome the snail who goes back to this mountain with all these people that live in this mountain that only live for like a year or two.
Yeah, dude, it's dark, telling you. It's messed up.
It's crazy.
And there's like old people sitting there, and they're like, "Yeah, we're only like, they're like what, 8 months old probably, or something like that."
These are people that live they only live for years, so they have to cherish all these moments in their life. And one of the things that they love doing is having snail races.
Yeah, like the slowest possible thing. And the thing is like, and not to like go too far off the road here, but like. Mm-hmm. Like their entire I love their mentality because like there's like this theme of it doesn't really matter how long you live. It's like this whole fulfillment, like life fulfillment thing, and that's the whole like cycle of this world, right?
Yeah.
And that specific area, like what was it called? The Mountain of Souls, Soul of Mountains, whatever it's called. Sure.
Like
I think that's what it's called. Mm-hmm. But that whole thing is it's crazy. But it's so cool. It's like, oh man, it feels like original to me. Probably because I just haven't heard anywhere else. But it's such a
these kind of things. It's you don't kind of get that creativity anymore because I guess like games back then were just so limiting in their execution. Like nowadays, you can get these games that could look exactly like something like Soul Blazer, but they just throw so much narrative and so much story into it nowadays because they can. And a game like this, they could only give you so much before the rest of it had to be left to your imagination.
Exactly. This game tells you like directly what's happening. It's like I am a dog. I did this once. Like it's just like that's the dialogue. Right?
Oh my god! That Animal Village is just so weird. Like
it is.
You restore the restaurant and like the patron or whatever, and then you go up to him and he's like, "Oh, what are we having on the menu?" You.
Oh yeah, that part. Oh god.
Haha, just kidding.
Like they play off all this dark humor, and it's supposed to be this like land of like rebirth and like joy. Apparently, it's like weird.
Yeah, it's like the place where animals go to be safe.
Yeah,
from harm from everything else, and then they just make fun of you, like poke at you, and it's just oh my god.
And another part in that forest area is like when you go underground to the moles.
Yeah,
and then you're trying to look for the leaf, the Turbo's leaf.
Mm-hmm.
And like you talk to the mole, and the mole's like, "Yeah, I was digging around and I dug up some dog bones." Like you dug up Turbo's bones, man. That's such disrespect to the Doge.
Did you not see the cemetery?
I know. I'm just like, oh my god, they dug it up. I totally forgot that happened.
And when you have to make the bridge to go across to the other part, and it's an alligator.
Oh yeah,
and you step on the alligator for the first time. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, okay. Well, just be careful.
No, don't you have to like answer him like yes or no? He's like, "Are you going to like?"
Oh yeah.
Army or
something?
Oh yeah.
yes. It's like, okay, well, if you do, just be careful.
This game is filled with that dialogue.
It's so, oh man,
It's funny.
it's a great, surprisingly great game. I recommend people get it.
Absolutely. One of my top 5 games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
You need to go back to the classics, and that's what Game Club is essentially all about. There's a lot, like I said before, there's a lot of great Enix games, Soul Blazer being one of them. ActRaiser is a personal favorite, and also one of the future episodes there will be Evo. Evo Return to Eden or something like that. It's something that Pix recommended that I play, and I've currently checked it out. So that is going to be a future episode as well. Do not be surprised if the first batch of these Game Club episodes are just going to be nothing but Square Enix or Enix. Just Enix classics all the way.
Enix Club.
You know, the games that they made that aren't Dragon Quest.
Yeah. Hey man, if they're just as good as Soul Blazer, I'm gonna play them because I want to play them.
And you will, and I hope that the listener does too. Check out Soul Blazer. It is an instant classic, therefore it had to be the first one that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And stay tuned for our next episode, whichever one that might be. Hopefully next week. Thank you, Aussie, for this nice short little trip down memory lane.
Thank you.
Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section or drop an email at idealoclast@gmail.com to give criticism or any other, like, just offer a game for us to check out and talk about in any future podcasts. It would be really interesting to see what you guys come up with. Only the classics. Only the classics, because
only the best.
Because we want to keep this. We want to keep this a spoiler-filled podcast full of games that are so old that nobody should really care about being spoiled about anything.
Yeah.
And the classics are just things that people need to know about.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So
know it, play it.
Yep. So thank you again, Aussie.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
See you again on any future episodes. I'll hopefully get more guests than just you. So
yeah,
very
spread the love.
Spread out all over the place. And yeah, see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.